Hi everyone, welcome to another tier maker. I have a special guest with me, Tokoboy. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Tonight we are going to rank Sylvester Stallone movies. This was suggested by a viewer, Chef Lucha. Thank you, Chef, for the suggestion. Great suggestion. I have seen a bunch of Sylvester Stallone movies, and so has Toko. Let's rank them. Oh, first change my category. Good idea. Just chatting.
Just chatting.
Jump scares are still on too.
That'll be interesting.
There we go. All right, categories changed. So, I'm gonna go through here first, and I'm going to put the movies on that I have not seen. But before I do that, I want to point out we are basically rating how good the movies are, and I guess we're rating it like it's like any other actor that we do. That they're I'm trying not to compare them to Sylvester to Arnold Schwarzenegger or Seagal or Van Damme or any of those. I'm trying not to do that. Yeah, I'm trying not to do that. So as you can see up here on the tier maker, S down to F, and then haven't seen. So haven't seen, I'm going to start chucking in here. And Toko, feel free to jump in if there's something you have seen out of this list. I will put it wherever I need to. First, The Lords of Flatbush, haven't seen it.
Nope.
Avenging Angel, I've not seen it. Escape Plan 1 and 2, I have not seen. Have you seen any of those?
I've seen clips, but I haven't had full watch throughs.
Fist, F-I-S-T, I have not seen. Death Race 2000, I'm sorry, Internet, I have not seen it. I do want to see it. I have not seen it. Bullet to the Head. No. B-movie, have not seen it. Backtrace, wow, have not seen it.
He has a good number of films that he appeared in before Rocky. And those I definitely have not seen. Those might not even be on this tier maker because it looks like he was just maybe not even a featured role actually.
Yeah, well, there's some in here that are definitely lower in terms of how much time he spends in there. Rhinestone with Dolly Parton I have not seen. Lockup I have not seen. Paradise Alley I have not seen. Detox, which this rented pretty well because the cover art's really good. But all the reviews were terrible. And it's just like a straight-to-video movie. Shade is like a poker movie. Haven't seen it. Daylight, yes. First Blood, Cobra, Specialist, Judge Dredd, Assassins, Tango and Cash, Rambo. I think I've seen the rest of these. Oh, I have not seen Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Put that up there.
Nope, haven't seen that one. That sounds interesting.
It's a terrible trailer. I really want to see it. Oh, Victory! I've heard Victory is a good movie. I have not seen it. So it has to go up there as well. Michael Caine's in that one. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit and let's talk about the ones that he has been in that are kind of bit parts. It's like Spy Kids 3D is kind of a cameo. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, definitely a cameo.
Is he a cameo in Creed 2, or is he a more featured role? I forget.
Definitely a cameo. And I will say it's the least of the two Creed movies that I've seen, although the third one just came out this weekend on VOD, and I do want to see it. I've heard it's pretty good. So
he is not in that one. That's the first in the Rocky series that Sylvester Stallone is not in the movie.
Correct. And one of the reviews I read said it is the least Rocky, quote unquote, of all of them, and yet it's better for it.
It's the least Rocky and the most anime.
The most anime for sure. But in terms of like bit parts where he's just kind of in it a little bit, that's pretty much all of them. He's a pretty major part of the rest of these.
He's on the poster on all the rest of these.
True. Spy Kids 3D. Oh, he's not good in it. And it's not a very good movie either. I like Spy Kids 1 and 2. Spy Kids 3D. I did not watch the rest of the Spy Kids series after that. Is it a D? Yeah, I mean, compared to the first two, it's definitely not very good.
You can't really argue with that.
You're good with a D? Okay. It's not an
Yeah.
F. I mean, you can watch it, but...
It's watchable. It's watchable, but it's just, do you want to watch it after you've watched it once?
Yeah.
That's the question.
I would watch the first two again. I would not watch that one again. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, definitely the lesser film compared to the first one. His cameo that's in it is kind of funny, but... And he's like in the bonus scenes after the credits, I think, too. Right? Anyway, it's hard to rate that. I mean, as a movie, as a Marvel movie, it's mid-tier at best. Got some cool moments in it, but Kurt Russell's in it, and Kurt Russell's kind of just... It's daddy issues, so I'm putting it as a C. I don't know how you feel about it.
It's got all those really cool cameos at the end, but
cool soundtrack.
The first, well, exactly. The first Guardians is by far and away the better of the two.
Yeah.
No, C is good. Maybe a low B, but C is good.
Yeah, I mean, if I could be talking to a B on it. Well, let's just go right into Rocky. Let's just get the biggest one out of the way. For me, I can't really rate it any lower than an S. Watching it now, it's still an incredible movie. And the story, I mean, it won Best Picture. It won Best... He didn't win Best Actor. He got nominated. It won Best Original Screenplay. And for good reason. It's a classic. Now, were there other good movies out that year that you can make an argument for that they should have won or something? Sure. But man, the original Rocky, if you want to make a case for it being less than S, I will hear down to A, and that is it.
No, I mean, I have no argument here. It's a classic.
I was waiting.
It's a classic. Like,
he wouldn't argue.
I mean, Carl Weathers is fantastic, and you know we'll be talking about him when we talk about the other Rocky movies. But
that's right. Which we can go straight to Rocky 2. So there's 3. Let's just put these all over there. Rocky 4. Rocky 2. Rocky 5.
Rocky Balboa.
Rocky Balboa. Creed 1, Creed 2. There we go. All right, we got all those in order. All right, Rocky 2. It's an A, but it's almost like an S minus.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy Hand Swings is using all cap. My mods like to yell at me. Where are you putting Rocky 4? I need to know before I go to bed. Well, maybe you should stay awake. In fact, you know what? Let's just skip the Rocky movies for now. Let's end with those.
Yeah. We'll bumper then. Yeah, for sure.
Now, some people like Rocky 2 better than Rocky 1. You're not one of those people, I take it, because you're not responding.
No.
I think it's
I mean,
really
the whole
good
rematch
movie.
idea.
Yeah,
it is a good movie. But I mean, the first one's just such a classic.
It's iconic. Like, it's his origin story.
Exactly.
I'm a sucker for origin stories. Rocky 3, God, it's almost an S. It's like above Rocky 2, but just barely.
Just for the Mr. T factor alone.
Oh man, yeah.
I pitied the. I mean, is this the movie where he says "I pitied the fool"? Is that where that came from?
I think so. Well, it was just kind of his thing. But Rocky,
or from the A-Team. I don't even remember, but yeah.
Well, this was before A-Team.
It is. You're right. My bad.
Yeah, because it was around that time when he did a boxing match at WrestleMania 3. Rocky 4. All right, Heavy Hand Swings.
For me, I put Rocky 4 above 3 and 2 because just of the training montage scene and the whole, Cold War era undertones and I must break you.
And a shocking death of a major character. Yeah, I agree. Rocky 4 is a very high A for me. In fact, you could argue that it's a S minus. I just think it's... God, Rocky 4 is really freaking good, man. I don't know.
It's hard to come up with many series before this series where the fourth one was good,
Yeah, no, I agree.
In the series.
The fact that I'm even talking about it being S tier. It is better than 2 and 3, for sure. And Ivan Drago is like the perfect villain for that time, for that Cold War. Even though he is not, Dolph Lundgren's not Russian. He played Russian well enough. And just him punching that machine that showed how hard he hits, it's like, oh, what a great thing to put in a movie. I'm putting it as an S.
Sweat.
I'm moving it up to an S minus. It's an S. It's below Rocky 1, but it is definitely up there.
Can't argue with that.
I understand putting 1 above it, but also maybe not, kind of. Some people argue that Rocky 1 is not as watchable today, but I love seeing his origin story. It is still, to me, the best. Rocky 5. I've seen this movie once, and then I promptly forgot it.
I don't remember if I've seen it, to be honest.
It's not good. It's like C tier. Awful fucking movie, says Heavy Hand Swings. It's a Rocky movie, so you're gonna watch it. It's watchable-ish. It's not a good movie. I'm putting it as a low C. If he dies, he dies. Now, if we're talking about Rocky Balboa, holy crap, this was actually a decent movie. I'm putting it as a B. I had very low expectations for Rocky Balboa, and it was more than watchable. And it actually was just as good the second time I watched it. Where do you come out on Rocky Balboa?
You watch and listen to that speech that he gives his son.
Yes.
And just, it's not how hard you get hit, it's about how hard you get hit, and you keep moving forward. So,
So they took the poster and basically did it like the original Rocky poster. But it's him by himself on the steps. And I won't go into details as to the story. It's one of those where people don't think of it as a Rocky movie sometimes. It definitely is. And it's almost an origin story, a re-origin story, because of how much further into things it happens. But it's pretty well done. I did not expect that movie to be as good as it was. But that brings us to Creed 1. And, dude, I'm going to tell you right now, this may not be popular. I'm putting Creed 1 ahead of Rocky 3 and Rocky 2. I think Creed is a really damn good sports movie. And the way they used him and the way they introduced Adonis, and it was such a great idea, and it shouldn't have worked, and it did. I really think that's a great movie. Great is not the word. Damn good. Is it better than 2 and 3? Okay. I'm gonna put it between 2 and 3. Now, how do you feel on that? Would you put that down more as a B? Am I overrating it? I might.
No, it's definitely A for sure. And my question to you is do you think that Sylvester Stallone got snubbed at the Academy Awards that year?
No, he has a couple of good scenes, but what year did Creed come out? Let's take a look.
I want to say 2015.
You're probably right. It's something like that. Oh, Felicia Rashad was good in it too. This is...
Oh, he lost to Mark Rylance in Bridge of Spies. Okay.
Oh, okay. You know what? He should have won that then.
The other nominees that year were Mark Ruffalo in Spotlight, Tom Hardy for The Revenant, and Christian Bale in The Big Short.
So Tom Hardy in The Revenant, I love The Revenant. I love that movie unashamedly. Tom Hardy's not good. He's not very good in the movie. He's just not. It's a really bad hick accent. And then Spotlight is a really good movie that I predicted would win because it's important and the other movies weren't.
Right.
But having said that, Spotlight's a good movie. It's well done. It does show the inside of how the Boston Globe worked. At the same time, Mark Ruffalo's not really good in it. He has one scene where he yells and it's like comical. They knew and they were kids. Yeah,
to kids.
They were kids.
Exactly.
They did that to kids. Now, I will say, watching the film and in the context of everything, it's a good scene. But just that scene pulled out of context, it's funny. I can't help but laugh. The way he's yelling almost like Sylvester Stallone with like one half of his mouth. They were kids.
His back and forth with Stanley Tucci, I like those scenes.
Yes.
For what it's worth.
Yeah, fantastic. neither one of those performances was any better than what he did in Creed. I'll be honest.
Creed?
I'll be honest.
I feel like
and
he
Bridge
got
of Spies was it's a mid. It's very mid. Creed 2 is okay. It's a C. It's a high C. I'm gonna put it ahead of Rocky 5 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
I've not seen the second Creed movie.
You know, and I'm probably overrating Rocky 5, to be honest. It's probably more like a D, but that's okay. Heavy Hand Swings was here, and he wanted to see it, so see me rate it. Creed 2 is okay. It's okay. It's perfectly watchable. It's very mid. All right, let's get back into some of the older stuff, and then we'll save the Rambos for last, because that is gonna be
talk about
fun conversation. Rambo. We'll have First Blood in there. Rambo 4. Oh, Last Blood isn't in here.
First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3.
Yeah.
And then it's funny how the Rambo series almost mirrored the Rocky series, because I think Rambo and Balboa came out the same year, I want to say.
We'll talk
like
about
2008-ish.
We'll talk about Last Blood, the Rambo Last Blood. We'll talk about that one when we do these, but it is not available right now. Let's throw a couple out there. Cobra's one of those movies that it would have been a B movie, except he was a hot actor at the time, and he's just like a cop that goes over the line to do what he has to do. It's perfectly watchable cheese, but it's definitely cheese. I'm putting Cobra as a mid C.
There's another movie on this list where he plays a cop that's a little bit better. We'll get to that.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
I remember that was the first time I'd seen a movie with a red laser on a gun. I remember that, and I was like, "Whoa! Look at that laser on that gun!" Whoa. Demolition Man. Speaking of cops,
that one is on my watch list.
You haven't seen it?
I have not seen Demolition Man, but that's one that I want to watch. Wesley Snipes, it
is an A almost because of Wesley Snipes. He has so much fun in this movie. And the memes about the 3 seashells and Taco Bell being the only restaurant, and Sandra Bullock was pretty young in this. I don't want to say it was her first movie, but it was early. It was the one where she really got noticed. Really good.
I think that was before Speed,
partner.
so I want to say you're correct.
Yeah, it was before Speed for sure. Yeah, right? I think. It's an A for me. I can't put it ahead of the other 3 films on there with Rocky 3, Creed, and Rocky 2. I can't put it that high. But as far as late 80s, early 90s action, it's pretty fun. It goes off the rails towards the end a bit, but you can forgive it that because it is an action comedy. Not a huge focus on comedy, but the comedy that's in it is pretty fucking funny. I think it's an A. Let me knock a couple out that I don't think you've probably seen. Let's do Driven. Have you seen Driven? I watched Driven. It was my job to watch Driven. I have
not seen Driven.
It's not a bad movie. It's kind of mid. I think it's definitely better than Rocky 5. All right, Rocky 5 is a D. There, I said it. I moved it down to D.
There it is. Above Spy Kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put it slightly above Spy Kids. Driven is a low C, but it's watchable. There's a couple of really cool scenes in it. He's all right in it. It's mid. It's a Formula 1 type movie. I mean, it is. It's about Formula 1. It was okay. Oscar is kind of a comedy, kind of a it's very mid. I would even put it as a D. It's better than Rocky 5, but not by much. Get Carter is a remake of the Michael Caine British crime film from the 60s. It's not very good. It's D tier. It's actually low D. I would actually put it... okay, it's a little bit better than Spy Kids 3D.
It's going to take a lot to get below Spy Kids. But
yeah.
We'll see.
Well, hang on.
Oh, too soon. Yep.
The Specialist is below Spy Kids. Oh my god, him and Sharon Stone. It is just a terrible movie. If you catch it on cable sometime, don't even bother. It's not even like fun bad. I went and saw that in a theater. And like halfway through, I'm like, why am I still sitting here? And it's just, oh god, it's so bad. It's not even, there's nothing memorable, like memorably bad about it. You could watch the trailer and you'd be like, okay. B movie in every possible way. But Sharon Stone was hot at the time.
I was about to say, people probably went and saw it just for.
She's the reason more people went. Yeah, it's oh god, it's such a terrible movie.
Was that before Basic Instinct?
No, it was after.
After, okay. I was thinking like early 90s. Okay.
Nighthawks is a pretty good cop movie, but it's very like early 80s, late 70s. I'm actually going to put Nighthawks a little bit above Cobra. It's not as memey or as cheesy, but it's still pretty good. Copland. Now, have you seen Copland? De Niro, Liotta, Keitel.
I have not.
Dude, Copland's good. Copland is a B. It's a little slow, but he plays a sheriff in a small town in Jersey. And a lot of New York cops live in this city because they pay less taxes. And they go across the bridge every day to go to work. And it's a small town, and it's basically just like one bar that all the cops go to. And he's a sheriff who lost hearing, most of his hearing. So he's having trouble hearing a lot of the movie, and he plays it pretty well. And by the end, it's up there. It's up there. Copland's a very underrated film, and it has one of my favorite De Niro lines ever. He's eating a sandwich through an entire conversation. He basically asks, because he's like a Fed, and he's researching a couple of cops, and he asks Sylvester Stallone's character for his help to try to find some stuff out. And Stallone doesn't really help him. And then some shit starts going down, and Stallone comes to him asking for his help. And De Niro's like eating a sub sandwich, and you've probably seen it. And he's like, "You hear me, you deaf fuck? You had your chance to be a cop, but you blew it." I will find that clip, and you will laugh.
I've probably sounds familiar.
YouTube De Niro, you blew it. Copland, you blew it. Yeah, there it is. It's a pretty good movie. It came out at a weird time where everybody was thinking about, Goodfellas, and it's some of the best talent to be in a movie that's just not quite as good as the talent that's in it. But Stallone as the lead in it is one of his better performances.
You know who directed it?
Copland. I do not.
Here, let me take a look.
Copland.
James Mangold.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He's one of those that comes out of the woodwork every once in a while and makes something.
He directed
Michael Rappaport was in it. Superboy. I like the movie. I like it. It's
another one on the watch list.
Yeah, I mean, mid-tier for the watch list, but definitely worth seeing. Grudge Match. De Niro and Stallone again in a boxing movie. And let me tell you, this is as D gets.
Rocky versus Raging Bull.
There's no reason for that movie to exist. Slightly ahead of Rocky 5. Now, Cliffhanger and Daylight is almost like a double feature. We'll do Over the Top first, though. Have you seen Over the Top, the arm wrestling movie?
I have not.
It's cheesy. He's trying to get custody of his son, and he's doing all these arm wrestling matches so he can make money to try to be able to have custody of his son. It is a guilty pleasure type movie, but it's no better than a C. In fact, I put it kind of in there with Cobra and Nighthawks. It's ahead of those two. In fact, I'll put it ahead. I'm gonna put it ahead of Creed 2. It's a high C.
Ahead of Creed 2, okay.
There's a line. So he's a trucker and he has a baseball cap. Anytime he's gonna arm wrestle, he turns the cap around backwards, and he's like, "When I turn this hat around, it's like I become a different person." It's
God,
so cheesy. Cliffhanger and Daylight. Tell me you've seen Cliffhanger.
It sounds so familiar. I can't recall if I've actually seen it.
Cliffhanger is one you need to put higher up on your list. John Lithgow as a bad guy. I'd never seen John Lithgow as a bad guy. I always thought of him as a good guy. And then he's a really good bad guy in it. Like, you could tell he's having a lot of fun. Roland Emmerich, I think, made it.
Really?
I could be wrong. Cliffhanger film. No, Rennie Harlan. I knew it started with an R.
You said John Lithgow is the bad guy?
Yes, Michael Rooker also is a really good bad guy in it. It's kind of a batshit crazy movie, and the fact that it even exists and they spent that much money doing what they did, and it worked. It was a huge blockbuster. Really fun movie. Very... The premise is basically a plane crashes up in the mountains, and it had a shit ton of like drug money in it, and so John Lithgow is trying to go get it back, and he happens to be up there with an expedition of like tourists or something that paid him, and he ends up basically trying to fight Lithgow and his henchmen as they're trying to get to this plane wreckage. Pretty cool movie. Very early 90s, but it's pretty awesome. I really like Daylight. It's a high B. I can't. Okay, I'm rethinking my order now. I'm thinking Copland's better than Rocky Balboa, and I'm also thinking Cliffhanger's better than Rocky Balboa. If I'm looking at those three movies, and it's like, which one should I watch first? I'm going to reach for Copland or Cliffhanger first. Those two are really close. Two different sides to a coin. You've got big, dumb 90s action, and you've got a pretty quiet drama with a little bit of action towards the end. I would lean to those two. Rocky Balboa, very good movie. But then again, if I'm watching that, I'm like, why am I watching this and not one of the first couple of Rocky movies? So I think I got to put those two up there.
You said this movie was the first time you saw Lithgow as like an antagonist in the film.
Yeah, I think so.
So you don't recall him outlawing dancing at any point?
Well, yeah, but that's not okay. let me put it to you this way: Cliffhanger, he is relishing being the bad guy. He is completely over the top in a fun way. Like, he is unhinged in a way that he's never been in a movie before. So, yes, Footloose, he's technically the bad guy. He's an antagonist. I don't want to say bad guy. Antagonist.
So is Lithgow, is he sort of like like Kurtwood Smith in RoboCop, just like really hamming it up as the bad guy? Or
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison. All right, we're going to end this with Daylight. So Daylight it wants to be Cliffhanger, and it's not as good. It's a D. It's a high D. Have you seen Daylight? He's trapped in
I've not
tunnels.
seen Daylight.
He's basically trapped in tunnels for an hour and a half. It's but they were trying to, like, right after Cliffhanger, it was like the next big thing he did, and it's not very good. It's not terrible, but it's D. It's very D. Tango and Cash. Look, Tango and Cash is a movie that on paper has no reason to exist, and I really like Tango and Cash, and it's like an A for me. It's a low A, but it's an A.
I would put it B, but I mean I can't argue with A, with B, low A.
It's low. It's a low A. It's behind Demolition Man right now. It's last on the A's, but if that's
Kurt
on
Russell.
cable, I'm fucking watching it. Full stop. Tango and Cash, and you put Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone together in a movie, and it's just some action scenes and some humor. And try to explain the plot? No. When it's on, do I watch it? Yes.
Yes.
Now, Judge Dredd. This is an F above The Specialist, but dude, the original Judge Dredd is so bad.
I was about to say the remake is so much better. The Carl Urban remake.
Max von Sydow is in this. Sydow?
Yeah.
He is in this movie with Rob Schneider, and you're like, who cast this? Did they just roll dice? I don't understand. Darts at a dartboard? And the movie is so terrible.
I am the law.
I am the law. Yes, and I recently rewatched Dredd for like the 5th or 6th time, and I've got the 4K. That's how much I love that movie. I bought the 4K, and oh my god, that movie's still fucking incredible. I would love another one. I don't think we're gonna get it though.
Lena Headey, yeah.
Lena Headey. The only negative I have in the Dredd movie is the girl, the blonde, the empath. She's okay. She's okay. She's a little flat in a couple scenes. I would have liked a little more from her, but I guess because she can read people's minds, she's just kind of flat emotionally. But I would have liked a little bit more range out of her. But other than that, she's pretty good in some stuff. And oh my god, Carl Urban, the role he was born to play. Assassins, Sylvester Stallone, Antonio Banderas. Have you seen it?
I have not seen Assassins.
You've seen
another one.
You've seen a GIF of the meme of Antonio
Banderas
Banderas closing the laptop
exactly
and
what you're talking about.
doing like the chef's kiss thing
That's
or
from this
whatever.
movie? Okay.
Assassins. Yes.
Okay.
Banderas was
exactly what you're
young
talking about.
in this. Like he had just done Desperado. This movie's bad. Like it's bad. Is it as bad as The Specialist? No. Is it kind of the same movie, except it's two dueling assassins again trying to protect a girl or whatever, and then trying to kill a girl? Okay, I'll put it slightly ahead of Get Carter, but it's as bad or worse than Rocky V. It's bad. It's so bad. All right, now we should be getting to the last of these movies. I believe you've seen all of them.
I've seen Expendables. I've seen Expendables 2. I think I've seen parts of Expendables 3. I think that's the one that's got Harrison Ford, I think, and Bruce Willis. And I've seen the Rainbow movies.
Willis is in all three.
Yeah, Willis is on all three. Yeah. Dolph Lundgren, Jet Li, all those good. Yeah.
Expendables 1, I like it. It's not great. There's a couple of good lines in it. It's all right. I can't go B, but it's like a high C for me. Where do you feel about it?
That makes sense to me. And it's really a pity that they brought all of these like action stars from yesteryear together, and it couldn't.
You've got Jet Li, and he like barely does anything in the movie at all.
Mickey Rourke, Randy Couture.
Terry Crews has like the best lines in the movie with the AA-12 shotgun.
Yeah.
You better remember that shit at Christmas. Love that. Expendables 2, I will say is slightly better than 1, but not by much. Kinda. I'm surprised they made 3 of these, I'll be honest. But it's still a C, just slightly above Expendables 1, but not by much.
I mean,
they're watchable. Chuck Norris. Yeah, Chuck Norris. I mean, if you want to make a case for a B, the problem with these 3 movies is there's too many people in them. It was a great idea. There's just a little too many people. It's too much of a good thing. They don't really know how to utilize all of them. And then 3, you've got Schwarzenegger. But was he like driving a golf cart or some shit? I did not like 3 very much. 3 is like a D for me, but I'm listening to you if you have an opinion where I should put it like a low C.
I'm not as familiar with the third one. Like I said, I think that one again has.
I'll put it as it's over here with Cobra. Cobra's a little bit better. Yeah, the cast in 3 is like the best of all of them, but dude, the last 20 or 30 minutes of that movie makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
And I think they're making a 4th one, if I'm not mistaken.
Are they? All right, hang on. Expendables 4, 2023. No, Megan Fox, Tony Jaa, Iko Uwais is in it from The Raid.
Andy Garcia.
What? 50 Cent, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, of course. Carolyn Wilde is Bikini Girl. What? Why? We don't need Expendables 4. We didn't even need 3. Oh, there's a trailer out there. Oh, there's a trailer. Is John Wick in it?
Yeah, they need to put freaking Keanu Reeves in this movie.
The third one was the worst.
Liam Neeson.
Fighting wolves with blades in his
broken bottle glass.
fingers. Yeah, broken glass. All right, lastly, we're going to get into the Rambo movies. I think this is a good place to end it. First Blood is iconic. First Blood created a character that you root for. You don't understand him. They don't put you in his head as much as they could. If it was a movie that was made now, there'd be all these flashbacks, like way more than there is in the movie. I don't know how you don't say that First Blood is an S.
It's S, no doubt. First bout Hall of Famer. No, S tier.
Is it ahead of Rocky 4? Yes. I'm putting it
Yes, it is.
between Rocky and Rocky 4. I don't know that I can put it above Rocky, but in terms of the movies that made him who he is today, it's Rocky and it's First Blood. And the fact that First Blood doesn't have that much action in it. It's a lot of him hiding in the mountains. But all the stuff in the jail, and then when he escapes and gets out, and just the last 20 or 30 minutes of it is super tense.
For sure. I'm just I can't recall the actor the name of the actor who plays the sheriff. The dad from Tommy Boy. He's great. The Colonel is great. The Colonel has such iconic lines.
And that wasn't even supposed to be him originally. We were supposed to cast somebody else. And
oh, really?
Yeah. First Blood, 1982. Still holds up really. Brian Dennehy. Duh. I should have known.
Brian Dennehy. And I can't recall a film prior to this that really explored the soldier's point of view as far as like shell shock, PTSD, and how that affects a person, and a soldier coming back home from the war, and how they're treated generally. And that ending scene where he's just like, about over there, I was in charge of $1 million equipment, but I can't even find a job parking cars. I mean, that just hits so hard.
Yeah, it does.
He's crying when he's saying this stuff, and he falls down in tears, and it's just that is such a powerful scene.
Is it his best performance?
Man,
because Rocky is iconic, but I would argue that First Blood is a better performance range-wise.
I think so too, because it shows, it established him as an action star, and then all the emotional scenes at the end, it showed his range for sure. And to me, First Blood is more rewatchable than Rocky. Rocky's great. I love Rocky. I still think Rocky's ahead of First Blood, but for me, I will. Oh man, it's iconic.
So a couple of quick facts. After the original cut, first cut of this movie was over 3 hours long, and Stallone and his agent claimed the film was so bad, and Stallone was afraid that it would kill his career. He tried to buy the footage and destroy it, but the studio wouldn't let him. So then he asked the producers cut most of his part and let the rest of the characters tell the story. Then they cut it down to 93 minutes, and you have the movie that everyone loves. When Sylvester Stallone ranked his preference of the Rambo films, he chose that one first. It's his favorite, and he wouldn't change a thing about it. It's fair. So it's a really 93 minutes, and it just moves. He's a psychotic, cold-blooded killer in the book, so they wanted to make him as a man who was lost. I think it's a brilliant decision.
Agreed.
Trying to find... A lot of hesitation came from the studio about Rambo's final breakdown in the film. Stallone fought tooth and nail for the scene, noting he felt the soldiers who were going through similar pushback from society needed their story told. The stories Rambo rants about in those final moments are real stories. And I am trying to find... Oh yeah, David Caruso is in this too. I forgot David Caruso.
Yeah, he's the young police officer.
Al Pacino was considered for the role of John Rambo originally, and turned it down when his request that Rambo be more of a madman was rejected.
I cannot imagine Al Pacino.
Can you imagine Pacino in First Blood? Oh my
First
god.
Blood.
Hooah!
Attica.
I'm trying
to kill. Period.
Who originally was supposed to be cast as Krenna. Okay, Kirk Douglas pulled out due to script differences at the last minute because he was Colonel Troutman originally. Kirk Douglas would have been a good Colonel Troutman. They tried Rock Hudson first, who was recovering from open heart surgery, and turned it down. Then they offered it to Krenna, so Krenna was their third choice. He accepted it the Friday before filming began on the following Monday.
Wow.
He had to ask the script supervisor to keep feeding him his lines until he got caught up on memorizing the part. So there you go. I was trying to remember who it was, and it was originally Kirk Douglas and then Rock Hudson.
I feel like they would have been great in the role, but I feel like Krenna's delivery of those lines was such... like,
he is so matter of fact.
style.
He
Exactly,
he is
that's
very
it.
matter of fact that this is who Rambo is. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. He's fantastic in it. All right, so that is First Blood. If you were to say I think First Blood's better than Rocky, I have a tough time arguing against you.
I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I in my personal list, I might put First Blood over Rocky, just because I was just thinking about it, and I think First Blood is more rewatchable. Like, I can watch it again, and I can get just a lot of enjoyment out of watching it again and again.
Yeah,
I can say the same about Rocky. So
yeah,
it's close. It's really close. They're both S tier for sure. Top S 1 and 2 on this list.
All right, so what about Rambo 2? First Blood Part 2.
So Rambo First Blood Part 2. It's funny. So I recently watched Rambo 2 and Rambo 3 for the first time, not that long ago, and I honestly can't really tell you major plot points from either of those movies. They just pale in comparison to the first one so much that they're either low B or C tier. I wouldn't put them in D tier, but they'd be either low B or C tier for me.
So Rambo First Blood Part 2 came out at a time when I was in 6th or 7th grade, and it was so fun to watch as an R-rated shit blowing up for 2 hours.
There was a lot of explosions, no, for sure. And it's like when you think of Rambo, you think of him like, actually in a war zone fighting, but so that makes sense. And
Murdoch, I'm coming to get you.
Yeah.
It's a B for me. It's one of the biggest guilty pleasures on this list. It's not a great movie, but boy, if you want to watch people get hit with exploding tip bow and arrows, oh my god, it brings it. I love it for what it is, even though it is not on the same par as the original film. It doesn't tell a story worth telling, really. It's just he goes over and blows a bunch of people up, and because he kind of gets sold out by his boss guy or whatever, and he just goes and kills a bunch of people. He's a one-man wrecking crew. But It was so, at the time, it was so huge. Like, everyone, all they talked about was Rambo. They took the character of First Blood and just turned him into a complete action star. And it doesn't really jive with the first film. It doesn't really work with it.
Let's forget all the trauma that you're going through, and let's just like, hey, we need you to do this. We need you to.
But I'll be damned if it isn't a high B for me. Now, Rambo 3, it's not as good. It's a C. It's in the Cobra Nighthawks range, over the top. I'm gonna put it slightly ahead of, it's a high C. I'll put it. I will watch Rambo 3 before I'll watch either of those two Expendables films.
Expendables, yeah.
And that's because it is a big guilty pleasure. So he goes to Afghanistan to go help the rebels. The rebels that ended up attacking us on 9/11, right? It's funny. There was a quote in the original that says something about, this movie is dedicated to the brave fighters of the Mujahideen or whatever. It's like, he uses a highway flare, like a road flare, to cauterize a wound when he gets shot in the side. And it's the funniest shit you'll ever see in a movie. I can't believe it was left in there. And then at the end, it's him and Krenna against like this row of tons of Russians. And it's on the poster with that MiG, or is it MiG? Whatever that chopper is.
Yeah, helicopter, yeah.
And they look at each other and he just goes, "Fuck them," and then they just go running and start shooting.
This one has Kurtwood Smith, doesn't it? I'm trying to remember.
Who's that?
Kurtwood Smith, the bad guy from RoboCop. Is in Rambo.
Is he
3?
in Rambo 3?
Okay.
Shit, I don't even remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But that's kind of on purpose. Now we're talking about Rambo 4, which came much later. And he's just a quiet boat driver in East Asia. And some people are trying to go in and rescue someone who got kidnapped. And he's just a boat driver who ends up all of a sudden deciding he's going to help fight. And he is like way better than any of the mercenaries that are in it. I saw this in a theater. It is... The last 20 minutes of this is just insane. It is one of the harder R's you'll see in a movie. He gets behind a 50 cal and starts unloading, and you see people's heads like get blown apart. I mean, it is incredibly violent. He is exploding bow and arrowing people, just all over the place. And I was laughing my ass off at the movie. And I'll tell you what, I would watch this before Rambo 3. Live for something or die for nothing. I'm putting it as a low B, and that's overrating it. But I'm telling you,
I was wondering if you would put this below or above Balboa.
When it's below. It's below. But having said that, when it's on cable, like on Showtime or HBO, and I'm flipping through, I'm like, oh, if it's anywhere near like the second half of the film, when he starts showing up and like the mercenaries are all like, what the fuck? Hey, boatman, what are you doing with that bow and arrow? And then he just like goes off. I am like in for the rest of the movie. The first 30-45 minutes it's like just kind of slow. Then he goes off and it's just like, oh my god. It's pretty impressive at the special effects. It's a low B, but that's a very guilty pleasure for me. And I do want to say Last Blood, the last Rambo movie that came out like 4 years ago, if you've seen it, where he's like in Mexico.
I've not. I saw reviews for it and I was like, I might wait till this comes on VOD, and I still haven't seen it.
Legitimately fucking horrible. It is an F. It is. That's my impression. Just. They end up coming back to his house, and he has these tunnels underground, and it's just like Home Alone. He has all these like murder traps everywhere, and then the final kill, he rips a dude's heart out of his chest. It's so dumb and so bad, and the whole reason for it to exist is terrible. Like, he had a woman, and she was Hispanic, and now his daughter is like half Hispanic, or is it his niece? I don't remember, but he's kind of living with them, and they're living on his farm, and then she gets in with these drug cartel Mexican guys, and he just like goes to get her, and it's so bad, like really terrible. Like, why? The other Rambo movies kind of had a reason to exist, but to even call that Rambo, it would be F. I would actually put it below The Specialist, because it's gross. Like, the movie makes you feel dirty. There. Don't watch Rambo Last Blood. Just don't bother. It's
not even on this list. That's how bad it is.
It's not on the list because this list probably got made before it, but it is horrible. All right. Hey, I've been ranting and raving about Sylvester Stallone movies for way too long, but thank you for the help, Toko. Any last thoughts on where he ranks from the 80s and 90s action stars? For me, there's Schwarzenegger, and then there's everybody else. And he's in there, but Schwarzenegger's still the best.
Schwarzenegger has he's got an entire catalog of 80s action movies. For Stallone, you really think of Rambo, and that's really about it when you think of 80s action.
Rambo and Rocky.
Well, I don't think Rocky as an action
was not
movie.
80s. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, 80s, like not cheese action, but like 80s, like,
okay,
are
sports movies are different from action movies. That's true. Even though it's boxing, I kind of consider it. But you're right. Rambo is what he was probably going to be most known for. Well, no, he'll be most known for Rocky because of the Oscars and stuff, and that this character that he created that's still iconic. But the Rambo movies are, yes, his best action movies for sure. But don't sleep on Cliffhanger. I'm telling you, Cliffhanger's a fun one.
Cliffhanger, it's on my list.
Demolition Man too, but Demolition Man's like cheesy fun. Cliffhanger is also cheesy fun, but in a different way. It's not as funny.
Demolition Man, Cliffhanger, and Over the Top.
Copland. Put Copland
ahead.
Copland.
No,
Put Copland ahead. Over the Top. Over the Top is, catch it on cable someday if it's on, but don't like make a point to see it. All right. Those are the rankings on a lot of movies, and there's a few we haven't seen, but that's okay. I wanted to cover as many as we could that I'd seen, and there's your ranking. So if you're watching this on YouTube, what do you think? Put down in the comments. Do you think Rocky is better than First Blood? Or do you think First Blood is better than Rocky? We're talking two incredible films. It's a tough debate. I vote for Rocky by a hair. Toko says First Blood by a hair. And you know what? We're both right, because they're both fantastic films. Thanks for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. So long.